I think that comes pretty close to a proper description of the sort of deity I think about. Is, yes, it's the collective mind, the creative intelligence. Well, let me describe the words I use for the universe that we live in. It's an intelligent, creative, learning, trial and error, self-organizing, interactive, participatory, non-locally interconnected evolutionary system. That's our universe.
Why is it things must have trial and error? Why can't we just have the answers?
Because we haven't learned how to perfectly solve all these problems we're talking about. And we don't have infinite intelligence. We learn by doing. And sometimes we do it wrong.
Okay, so there's nothing that can help us, and so
there's a lot that can help us. When you get into the proper mindset of being willing to serve for the greater good, then I think you will make fewer mistakes than you do otherwise.
Mm-hmm. So there is hope if we just kind of keep the mistakes down. Is that?
Oh yes, I think.
But
so.
how do we? Okay, for one thing, I think I'd agree with you. We're making some huge mistakes in the way that we're handling this Middle East situation. So you say, is the learning part going to take a nuke or two, or you think that we can learn before then?
No, I think let's hope that we can do it without having to resort to that, or without that happening. It's not resorting to it, but without that happening, because that would be one of the worst things we could do, is to use nuclear weapons.
Mm-hmm. When terrorists go into a crowded place and blow a bomb up and kill people like that, do you feel like they are the least close to the conscious line that you feel that we need to get to? Are they at the bottom of the list of the human advancement in consciousness?
They're just humans making error. You asked about trial and error. That's error.
But the error,
violence, learning, utilizing violence is just creating more violence. And it doesn't matter which side of the conflict you're on. If you do that, then you're creating more violence.
I'll tell you what, I don't think I want to be the recipient of their trial and error, do you?
No, but I don't think they want to be the recipient of ours either.
I was going to say, maybe we need to have a little trial and error on them and then, let God sort them out afterwards.
Well, I think we've made enough errors. Let's try to do it the right way from now on.
Okay. Well, I really don't see that coming. I see festering evil coming our way.
But in Costa Rica, quite a few years ago, they were practicing exactly what we're talking about. And unfortunately, it's been kind of swamped here in recent years and swept off. The idea has been swept away with all the conflicts elsewhere. But Costa Rica was doing exactly what we were talking about, is trying to live in a peaceful way and unite their people. But they were on both sides of them. They were being pressed.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know that we have this kind of an odd question here. Apollo is obviously on the lines of Gemini and other gods, and the questioner writes, Doctor, are you aware that in the book or in the Bible that Apollo is a demon? Well, which is it? Has he got multiple personality or what?
No, let's not go into that. I don't subscribe to that. Apollo is just a name pulled from the Greek mythology to name something. And,
Speaking of that, it seems that at some points, if you look at ancient civilizations, you mentioned it several times in the first hour, that, do you think at one time the Earth was more advanced than it is right now?
I don't really think so. I don't think we've had really advanced civilizations that perished, although I suppose that's possible. But the archaeological record doesn't seem to show that.
Mm-hmm. So you've been studying the last 30 years for human consciousness and psychic and paranormal phenomena. Just before, as we come to the end here, let's just touch on that paranormal phenomena. Do you ever get into dealing with ghost or apparitions? That to me, when you say paranormal, that's what comes up in my mind.
Well, those can we take? I'll talk technically here for a minute.
Sure.
There's a phenomenon we've discovered just in the last 12 years here called a quantum hologram. It's the fact that matter emits and reabsorbs particle quanta of energy. Now, this has been known since the late 19th century. But utilizing that and understanding it has only taken place in the last 12 years by a professor in Germany by the name of Dr. Walter Schempp, a colleague of mine. And what this is, it is the mechanism that demonstrates that nature doesn't lose its experience. And the ancients called this the Akashic Record. We now have a mechanism that shows what that's all about. And now, I'm sorry, where you want me to take this?
Yeah, we were looking into the paranormal as far as ghosts or apparitions, that type of thing.
What this is really saying, these are images, and in our intuitive capability, we can pick up these images. Let me give an example here to help solidify this. When you walk into any great cathedral, for example, that's been standing for 100 years or preferably 1,000 years or so in Europe, there's a sense of hush, of awe, of reverence. Where'd that come from? How'd that get there? That's because the people, over this period of time, when they're in these great cathedrals, are on their best behavior. They're in a sense of awe and reverence and worshipfulness when they go in. And this quantum hologram I'm talking about, the emissions from the people are absorbed into the structure and thrown back so that subsequent generations experience it. Now, what that's telling us, that in every structure that people live in, their essence or the history of what they are is rooted or gets into that structure. It's there as information. And certain people are very receptive, we call them psychics, very receptive and sensitive, are able to pick up these images and pick up this information. And what they are picking up and describing is simply information that's in the structure. It doesn't necessarily mean, and there are some that really believe that the spirit there is conscious and proactive at that point. This particular approach to it says no. That is just information that's being activated by the person that is doing the perceiving. And this is what mediums do. And they're picking up this type of information. Now, some really believe, and I'm not one of them, really believe that the spirits are there. But I would say the information is there and it's being picked up and utilized. And that is really the explanation for these type of phenomena that you're talking about. Now, subsequent events may prove me wrong, but at the moment, that's where this seems to go.
Indeed. All right. We have been talking with Dr. Edgar Mitchell about his new book, The Way of the Explorer. We have at least 3 website links to his websites on the Edge bio. Doctor, can we have you back on the Edge again?
At some point, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, appreciate you coming on the program tonight.
It's been nice talking to you, and that's enjoyable. Thank you.
All right. Very good. Well, good evening, then.
Thank you.
You have been listening to The Edge with Daniel Ott. To subscribe to The Edge newsletter, log on to theedgeam.com. That's theedgeam.com, where you can find out more about the guests and topics discussed on the air. The Edge is being brought to you by Internet Solutions, home of affordable website design and low-cost Internet access. Visit Internet Solutions at es4.com. That's es4.com. Until next week, for the Edge Radio broadcast, I'm Chris Moore. See you on the Edge.
News on the USA Radio Network is next.